Ahora de Cuba la Bella, del Palacio de los Jugos, los chicharrones. Los vecinos aquí se enteran de todo.
Mi vecina era CDR en Cuba.
Y en verdad no hay nothing that you can do. Chacleteras sin llames con corbata.
Aquí yo vendo hot dog, pero Cuba yo era médico.
Le saco el dedo y digo Q. Sweet home Hialeah. Solo 30 minutos de Le Fallo. Oh, sweet home Hialeah. I hate your traffic, but I love you.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of East 10th Street Boys. I'm Bobby. That's Alex. You're watching us on the Fids Talk Sports Network. Alex, man, I know you're tired. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, bro. Just got off a flight, got into my house around like an hour ago, 2 hours ago when I text you. So I'm Heat Nation. I am finding out a lot about things right now. Bobby kept me up to date. I was in and out of Wi-Fi for the last 4 to 5 days. So I have an idea of what's going on, but I don't know every full detail. So I'm going to learn as long as I go today, too.
Yeah, so, man, there's a lot going on. Obviously, on East 10th Street Boys, we talk about everything Miami, Hialeah and everything else. But right now, the eye of the storm is on the Miami Heat, who played the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals. We're not supposed to be there by most experts' opinion. We're the play-in team, made it to the finals, lost in – was it game 5 against the Nuggets? So, and then of course we go into free agency. The Heat go to the draft. They make no trade. They draft Jaime. I'm saying that right? Jaime
Jaquez. Yeah.
Thank you. We draft him. He actually had an amazing summer league debut tonight. He was like 22 points, and then of course Jovic had 20 some odd points. But we don't know how long. We don't know how long they're going to be here because at the start of free agency, Alex, of course, is in DR. I see the alert. I'm actually doing Fins Talk today on Saturday, and I'm talking Miami Dolphins. And all of a sudden, I see Damian Lillard has officially requested a trade. I'm like, oh, here it is. This is it. I'm live right now, having a reaction. And then, of course, then right under it, Shams, it says he has said his specific requested destination is specifically Eastern Conference champions Miami Heat. And, of course, that sets the wheels in motion. And here we are. Of course, it's turned the NBA world upside down. You have media, ESPN, NBA radio. I've been listening to them. They've been going off. Boston media, they're going nuts. How is this going to get done? Miami Heat, there's nothing they have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which, we might not be able to provide the best package out there compared to other guys out there, but teams are not going to jump at that when he doesn't want to go. He wants to go to a specific destination. That's why the Heat, and he wants to go to the Heat. That's why the Heat's bringing it up. And let's not act like the Heat are some bottom basement feeder team. This is a team that was in the final. And the NBA Finals have proven with the culture that they could get there. And that's why Lillard, who said it before they even reached the finals, that Miami's one of the teams that he would like to play for if he was ever to leave Portland. So, Alex, you're in DR. Let me first get your reaction. You didn't have a chance to react. I reacted live because even though it was a Dolphins or a fish tank, Hank was kind of like, what the hell? Even though he was excited for me. But you really were kind of offline until you finally saw everything. What was your initial reaction? What are your thoughts right now?
Well, my first thought was it's about damn time because it was what we talked about, this whole scenario.
What's up, Kat?
we specifically said this offseason is going to be predicated on what Damian Lillard decides. You kind of saw the writing on the wall. You kind of saw that there was more information coming out from his end that every other summer there wasn't really no talks. So you saw the Chris Haynes report. You kind of had an idea of what was happening, but you weren't for sure. And the only thing that I'm obviously in my mind when I'm going, I'm like, the only way this is going to work if Damian Lillard comes out kind of like what Jimmy Butler did 4 years ago and said, I'm only going to Miami. I want to find a way to get to Miami. That limits the assets that not only do you have to give up, because it's still going to take maneuvering to acquire Lillard, because now you're dealing with a front office that quote unquote is not cooperating, which at the end, this is what Portland is facing. Portland is not a free agency destination. I understand the GM is probably mad at the timing of this because they guaranteed, the contract is not signed, but they gave Jeremy Grant 5 years or $200-something million. So I understand that. In hindsight, if you know Dame is requesting a trade, you're not going to give Grant that contract. You're going to go into full rebuild mode. And they're going to rebuild fine. They're going to be just fine. They have a talented team, and they're going to acquire more talent. But right now, you're facing a situation as the GM of the Blazers that this could affect your future because all eyes are on you, how you treat Damian Lillard, which is a hometown hero over there. He gave you 11 years. He's a fan favorite. He's one of the greatest players of all time. So how you handle this exit is going to be key on how you handle other entrances, free agency-wise, trade-wise. I know he doesn't have a no-trade clause, but rest assured, Damian Lillard is going to be on Miami Heat. The negotiations that are going to go on, is it going to drag on a little bit? They might. Miami obviously wants to close it as soon as possible. Could it be a 3 or 4 team deal? I think that's the only way it's going to get done because me personally, and I tell you, you saw the games today, and I know after me and you talked and you sold me on Jax even after we drafted him, when you see that combination, I told you this year, I don't want to give up Jovic. Under no conditions do I want to give up Jovic. I don't think we're going to have to give up Jovic. I don't think we're going to have to give up Hakis. We might have to dig into the Caleb Martin situation, which, in all honesty, I'm not against it, as long as we get to keep Hakis and Jovic.
Let me touch on that very quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it's like, hey man, do we want to mess up? Because I supposedly Lillard obviously prefers Butler and Adebayo to stay in Miami, and then Caleb Martin was another name thrown out there that he would like to keep in Miami. But if we had to move Martin, let me say why it wouldn't be the end of the world. And again, I wouldn't want to. To me, I want to keep the young guys. I love what I see in those two guys. You know, those guys were my picks. You know, but why I'm kind of like, man, do you really want to touch Martin with how he performed in the playoffs and everything else? But here's why I'm not against it. First off, Kevin Love has come back. Miami has had a very good offseason so far, in my opinion. It's whether they get Lillard or not. They've gotten better.
You got Josh Richardson at a minimum contract.
Richardson. Well, Thomas Bryant. Who plays center, but he can play 4. He can play the 4.
I can make an argument for you right now, Bobby, that Thomas Bryant can start next to Bam. I can make that argument for you.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not against, like, okay, if we could keep Jaime, right? Yes. And Jaime or Jovic or one or the other, of course. I
think they're both untradeable, bro. I really do believe so.
Well, I think the Heat are set on getting Lillard, and it's whatever can get the deal done. Minus because the report is that Miami has basically said you could have anybody on our roster except for Jimmy and Bam. First off, Cap says Portland wants a 3-team deal involved. We don't have what they want so far. Yes, it's going to take 3 teams. More than likely, or 4 teams, as Alex has brought up. More than likely, Brooklyn is that team, and I don't know what the other 4 teams are going to be.
Thanks, Dottie, for the phonetics.
Jaime. Oh, I see what she's saying. Okay. Whatever. And so anyway, the other thing about that is that if you would include a Caleb Martin, which of course that would kind of screw you on the 4, but you have Thomas Bryant who's available. You got Kevin Love. Is that there's players like what's going on with Phoenix. There are players who will take lesser contracts than normal to play for a team they think can make a run.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a report out there that the Heat are telling guys like, i.e. Malik Beasley, who's a damn good guard. Hey, look, we're not doing anything until we get Lillard's deal done.
Malik
He just signed.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, he went somewhere. Yeah, he signed a 1 year deal. But there are players like that. We're going to go over that list of what other players are still available. Josh Christopher is a name that's linked to Miami.
John Christopher. Is it Josh or John?
Josh Christopher
okay.
And Dario Saric is another one.
Saric, yeah.
Who's connected to Miami.
Yeah.
So you're killing
one of the original from Trust the Process, one of the original Sixers picks. Dario Saric.
so
yeah.
Those are guys that Miami has said, hey, look, and they're connected to the Heat, depending on what happens with Lillard. But anyway, to your point, if Miami had to move Caleb Martin, of course, the best case scenario is both of those guys staying there. We're talking about the two sophomore and the rookie.
Picks. Correct.
And I think Jovic has gained muscle. I think he's gonna be complement very well into this thing right here. Of course, I could see Portland saying, hey, no, we need to get some sort of asset from you. But if it had to be one or the other, I think this guy could get you rotational minutes right away. I'm talking about Jovic. I could see Jaime being a starting rotational type of player right there at the guard spot, and for Jimmy. So, best case scenario, we at least get one. We keep one. That's the best case scenario.
Can I tell you something, Bobby? Did you see the summer league game by any chance? Any part of it?
Bits and pieces.
Did you see part of the rotation where it was Bouger, Jovic, and Jaime out there?
I did not, but I'm gonna watch it. He'll be on.
That part right there, Bob. You're possibly looking.
Jaime.
My producer in the back.
I like that. You're producing what?
Yeah, talking crazy.
When you saw that running and Orlando
Jamie,
Robinson,
that's it.
With Orlando Robinson, those four, Bob, you are looking at possibly 4 of our backup rotation right after, depending on who like we said, I know Tyler Hero most likely is on the move. I know they're going to try to move Duncan Robinson as part of the deal. This is why this might take a 3 to 4 team deal. You got Portland that wants to get rid of Nurkic's contract. Then you got us trying to move Lowry, trying to move Robinson. So this could be a very complex 4-team deal where a team like Utah is involved with possibly Colin Sexton, Lauri Markkanen. I know what is Portland missing? An athletic young center. They might go down that route. That's why they want the Nets involved. They might want to acquire Claxton. So there's going to be some moving pieces. But ideally what you saw there, you have Bouger, Robinson, Jovic, and Jaime, which are possibly 4 rotational players right now. I understand we're going to sign minimum rotation. Even Kevin Love might not get crazy amount of playing time. He might become your Udonis Haslem. I'm not saying he's going to be that. He will probably
that veteran presence, that voice, championship experience.
I can make an argument for Bam playing next to Thomas Bryant. I can make an argument for
I'm excited about Thomas Bryant. I'm excited about that guy.
He's a 34% three-point shooter. So you have a big that stretches, and it allows you. If you lose Martin, Josh Richardson most likely is going to start at shooting guard.
Yes,
once we
acquire
or
at least projected. Yeah.
So
right now,
the drop off is not huge because now you got Jimmy, Josh, and Bam as your 3 main defenders. Because Damian's a subpar defender. Damian's never been a good defender, on-ball defender. Obviously, here in Miami,
one of the greatest, one of the best offensive players,
absolutely,
ever. I mean,
Thomas Bryant rebounds, has presence down low, so you have a perfect combo. And you just look around, Bob, and what we talked about, how this season ended. One of the key things I took from Damian Lillard is how he specifically, I forgot who was the writer that released it, and this writer wouldn't do this because he's very reliable. It's Sam. I forgot the last name. Sam something, where he stated exactly what Damian Lillard was basically reaching out to him and saying is that he wants to join the Miami Heat, the culture of Pat Riley and Spoelstra, and grow within it and be the missing piece. So that tells you where his mindset is. It's Miami or nothing. So this could get messy. It will benefit the Blazers and it will benefit the Heat if they resolve this quickly. They're just reaching attention. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I do think a trade could be possible by the start of free agency because there's pointless for this to drag on for no reason. So they're going to try to have a quick resolution. They're going to try to get teams involved. You're probably looking at Cleveland, Utah, San Antonio, Brooklyn. So those are the kind of the teams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers or another team would take on a veteran like Kyle Lowry in exchange for like a combination of salary, someone that needs a backup point guard or a point guard, a veteran point guard. So
the Clippers were looking at Chris Paul before he got moved to the Golden State Warriors, so that makes some sense. And I was listening again. I've been listening to NBA radio on Sirius XM, and it's been fun. But of course, again, the NBA media is in an uproar. The world is upside down. It's just the media, the bias. The package is not going to be as great as everybody else. Sure, okay, we can agree on that. We get it.
Yeah,
but guess what? Lillard doesn't want to go to Boston. He said it already. He doesn't want. He said it before this was even done. He doesn't want to go to any of these other teams. And yeah, Portland could send him anywhere. Portland could be a total dick and say, "Hey, look, you don't have a no trade. We could trade you anywhere." But you want to know how bad that's going to look on the Portland Trailblazers, who a lot of people go, "Oh, they gave him $450 million of contract money, etc." He could have left. He could have walked away. He decided to stay. You promised to build around him. You decided not to do it. That's on you.
This falls into like the Harden situation, the KD situation, where they picked a destination. The problem is it just became public. You get me? But that's
let me just say this for Cap. I see Cap just said Riley cannot let this whale get away. I know that if, let's say, for instance, that Portland sends him to, I don't know. Let's say
and the teams are not going to give up top prospects.
Let's just say they trade him to Boston. A lot of Miami fans are going to go crap on Riley, And look, it's this just like Lillard saying he wants to come to Miami has really nothing to do with Riley. Has everything to do with Bam Adebayo and maybe Jimmy Butler and them talking on the side. If he gets traded somewhere else, it's on Portland. It's not Riley. Remember, it's the assets. Miami really doesn't have assets enough to go, hey, man, here's all these draft picks. Here's all this. This is not about Miami having all the draft picks that Portland and Miami are talking. It's really because Portland is forced to talk to Miami because Damian Lillard says, I'm only going to play for Miami. Those other teams are saying, hey, man, we're not going to give up a bunch of picks. This guy's not going to be happy. Toronto did it. But he only played for 1 year before he left.
He was an expiring. It was an expiring contract. That's
exactly
another thing that people don't realize this. That's why you don't give up so much assets. Also, I know it's Damian Lillard, but this is a 4-year contract at $210 million left.
Well, so nobody. My thing is, other teams can't give up that many assets. Miami could because Lillard's like, hey, I'm coming. I want to come to Miami, and you're going, oh man, this is you. And it's another thing on the radio today. Where my point was that they were talking about, how many times, when has it worked when they got a big three, quote unquote, when you have no bench, blah, blah. First of all, I know they weren't saying about that about Phoenix, but they're saying about Miami now, saying, oh, look how successful big threes have been when they all come together. They have no bench, they lose, blah, blah, blah. Did you not see what Miami has done with undrafted free agents when they went to the final? What do you think they're going to do if they get a Damian Lillard, if and when, with Lillard, Bam, and Jimmy? And they go, okay, hey, Jamal Cain, come on up. And people are going to go, who the hell is Jamal Cain? I'm just throwing his name out there because he's one of our guys.
No, even one. Remember this name, Chase Adele or something? The Summer League player that we just signed this year?
There's some undrafted guys.
Chase Adele or something. Remember that name? That's the next Jamal Cain.
Oh, yeah, from Northwestern, the guard.
Yes.
Well, anyway, but look, what I'm saying is that, there was another guy here, Justin Powell. Look, there's going to be guys that, a lot of people will go, well, who's that? But guess what? Because they're in Miami, because Miami has done it, they've been doing it for years. Like Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Hassan Whiteside at some point, one point. Those are guys where people go, who are those guys? Max Strus. And look what they've done. They earned big contracts, not in spite of Miami, but because of Miami.
Because of Miami, exactly.
So I'm not worried about, in this case with Miami, what are we going to do if we trade away Caleb Martin or Jovic? And that's not my preference, but I'm not worried because then I know guys are going to want to jump to go with Miami because they're going to think Miami has a shot at the Eastern Conference again. And then you got these young bucks that we got here that Miami are going to pull out of the woodworks. Are going to be legit playmakers in the NBA in a rotation. And that's what Damian Lillard is seeing because Lillard has said, before this all went down that he goes, what if I do get moved? What if I go to a team and because the team traded for me, they give up all their assets and then I'm on another-ish situation where I'm one and done in the playoffs. You know why he picked Miami? Yes, he's friends with Bam Adebayo. Yes, he prefers to play with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, but because he's seen what they do with little. Miami does more with little than any other team in the NBA. Look what happened with the Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker.
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker, whatever. You get the point. Jaime.
I'm gonna get a shirt. I'm gonna get a shirt with the way Tati just wrote
Greg
it.
Salvador.
Hi, man.
Greg Sylvester. Listen.
Greg Salamander. I love you, Salamander, man. I'm sorry for him, bro.
He's just one night.
He's illiterate.
Ty and I, we got turned off the fuck off. Tati and I, we were done watching TV. Turn off the TV. It's like 1 a.m. She goes, "Did you really say Greg Salamander?" I'm like, no. It's like, that's an exaggeration. I said Salvador. But
man, before you get off topic in regards to the Portland situation, you know, it's one of the things that's probably the GM is doing. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's the main topic.
Go.
No, you're good. Go. Continue.
Just the GM. It's a thought that came to me.
Oh, that dude's an idiot.
The GM right now, he just doesn't want to seem like he gave Damian Lillard away. So I understand what you're trying to do. But this is something that you handle privately. You get the best deal that you can get. And this is not a knock on Tyler Hero. I'm going to miss Tyler Hero. You know how much I see in Tyler Hero and how he's going to improve. He's going to be a perennial all-star. He's a killer. Defensively, we understood the limitations. But as an overall player, I saw the world in him. And the talent was second to none. Now, it's not a knock on him that Portland doesn't want him. The problem is Portland is already set up with a shooting guard in Anthony Simmons. You got Sharp as the 3. You got Scoot Henderson. Those are situations that Hero is better suited, for example, in a Utah situation because Utah doesn't really have a shooting guard per se. Hero's better suited maybe in the Nets, even though they got Cam Thomas. Do they move Cam Thomas? San Antonio is in need of a shooting guard. So those are things that you start seeing and you're like, okay, it's a fit. So this is why it might take 3 to 4 teams where necessarily if you just do a two-team trade, it's basically your players go to Portland and you just get Dame. I see the 3 or 4 team scenario where Robinson ends up somewhere, Hero ends up somewhere, Lowry ends up somewhere, and we're taking on 2 contracts just in order to acquire Dame.
Let me get to that because I want to ask you this. Okay. Let's talk about 2 contracts. Obviously, one is Lillard. Okay. Yeah. I've seen multiple trade scenarios how this goes down. One, of course, being we just get Lillard. Yeah. Which, let me make sure I got that. One I saw was, of course, Damian Lillard, Tyler Hero to the Nets. The majority of them is Tyler Hero to the Nets. Nets have seen be very connected. Miami's obviously probably talking to them. The Blazers get Lowry, Jovic, Joe Harris, Nets, and Heat picks.
Well, Joe Harris already got traded, so that's not going to
happen. Did he? Okay, so that one's – I didn't know that.
Joe Harris got traded to the Pistons, I think.
Really?
Did he get traded? Yeah, he got traded to recently.
The Pistons. Interesting. All right, so we throw anybody in there, really, I guess, But anyway, so here's the other one. Okay, so here's one of the other ones, okay? And again, Joe Harris, you can throw that out.
Yeah, we'll remove that. Okay.
Lillard and Joseph Nurkic. Larry Robinson, Heat picks, Tyler Hero. And the other one is this one here. Lillard, Simmons, Larry Robinson, Caleb Martin, and of course it all goes down here.
This last one, for example, can happen because we can't have Ben Simmons and Bam Adebayo together. So that one's off the books, though, because of their contracts. Because one was acquired. You can't remember we can't acquire a rookie extension contract when you already have a player on your team that has a rookie max extension. So that one's not going to do because it can't be done. But the Blazers have to end up with obviously more picks.
So probably Simmons to the Blazers.
Yeah, Simmons to the Blazers there. And then probably Robinson or an expiring deal. Yeah, because you got if you don't got Nurkic, you got Robinson, Caleb. You see, this one might be and this is here if they acquire Simmons or you trade. I'm intrigued to see what Cleveland does with Jared Allen. I think Cleveland wants to move on from Jared Allen. I see somehow them getting involved, or the Jazz will. I don't think they're going to move Larry Markkinen, but Colin Sexton. So Colin Sexton could be on the move here with the Nets. Wow, would Utah take Ben Simmons if you give him draft compensation? Because that's another thing now you got to think about. This third or fourth team might need draft compensation in order to take on the player, which to me is ridiculous. They were talking about the Nets taking on Tyler Hero. Dude, you don't need compensation to take on Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero signed an extension that when we talked about it, I told you, when the cap goes up and the new TV contract comes in, this Tyler Hero extension and this Bam Adebayo extension are going to look like nothing. Because did you see with the rookies extensions now? Lonzo Ball just signed for like 5 years, 260, or like even Tyrese Halliburton. He just signed for 5 years, like 260. So Tyler Hero making $27 million at 23 years old, averaging 20 points a game. That's a decent contract. So you don't need cap. You don't need a pick compensation to take on that contract if you get rid of a Ben Simmons. Now, Blazers need that. Or if Utah acquires Ben Simmons, you need draft compensation for that. So that's a scenario that a team with cap space, San Antonio, might take it into account. You start looking at Kyle Lowry. Is it a mentor role? Like what situation? Probably Kyle Lowry's going to get bought out either way. So he's going to end up in a veteran team. The Lakers made the move, so I don't see him going to the Lakers. Dallas might still need a backup point guard with some veteran experience. They're signed Kyrie. So there's a few scenarios out there that it's not only about combining salaries, but no matter which way you play it, Lillard is going to end up with Miami. There's no way around it because it's going to get really messy if that's not the situation. Rarely does a superstar of this magnitude states that he's only going to play for one team and he's not traded to that team. Because then you can possibly retire. You can make a mess. No team is going to trade their top assets for a player that doesn't want to be there, like you said already. So This is something that we can go around it. We can keep on this little show and we can play and all this smoke. You know what's going to happen. It's just now, I doubt that someone might talk to Damian Lillard and he opens up his options. Highly doubtful because he's already doubled down.
I think he's doubling down because out of spite of everybody else of what's going on.
Hey, dude, you can try to sell me anything. I said Miami or nothing. No. Plain and simple. So
so let's just talk. So if not the Ben Simmons one, and again that would probably be to Portland or elsewhere. Nurkic, Joseph Nurkic. Let's say we do take on that contract. That's not a bad deal. That's not bad to pick him up. That would be a solid. You have to
give up less assets also because you're getting rid of them now. 2 massive contracts.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about in benefit to Miami. That's not like, oh man, we're picking up a big contract. Yeah, that's going to put you at the tax unless you give up more, salary, which you probably have to do. But again, that would be a plus in my opinion in regards of roster construction. Adding someone like that when you already have Thomas Bryant, who again, then you put him with Kevin Love at the 4 rotation spot. You put this guy with Bam at the 5. You think of rotations. Imagine that bench off and on. So
with Nurkic, what you're basically doing is trading Robinson's contract for his because they're both making the same amount of money almost. So is Duncan another year or is the same year? 2025, I believe. I got to check it out, but I believe Nurkic is and he's a serviceable piece because I understand he might be a little slow, but he gives you the option where he can still shoot. He's a good rebounder. Decent. He takes up space. He's not the best on-ball defender, but it gives Bam the option, obviously, to freelance a little more too. So I would not be upset when Nurkic and taking back Nurkic. Yeah. The only thing is obviously we become the second apron team, which I think if we just acquire Damian Lillard, we might fall under that second apron because Andy Ellisberg is a genius and he managed once again. Remember this. People don't see this, but
they moved Oladipo. Nobody thought they were going to touch Oladipo, and look, they moved them.
And what do you get? A trade exception. Yep. You trade a sign and trade for Max Strus. What do you get? Another trade exception. You cannot combine them, but you can acquire a player in separate transactions.
A second round pick.
Exactly. So those are things that you get compensation. And teams like Miami, if you're gonna go into these possibly close to this, you don't want to go into the second apron because it's gonna penalize you. It's not a money situation. But if you when I saw that he started dumping Oladipo when he wanted to wait and do a sign and trade for Strus, automatic you're like, okay, that's a trade exception. So we're going to use that to acquire a player, and it's not gonna affect our cap. It's not gonna penalize us. So that's when you're like, okay, minimum contracts are reimbursed by the league, so you're not gonna get capped at that too. I'm like, okay, now you see where this is going. Like people had the overreactive typical Miami Heat fan when the summer began. Obviously, when you heard about we lost on Beal, half of Miami was like, oh my God, here we go again, another summer. I'm like, guys, relax, bro. Relax. Let these guys play it out, man. All we need is for one person to say, I want Miami. That person said, I want Miami. That's it. Now
and that's the thing. People say, oh, you know, we lost on Beal. Beal had a no trade clause. He could have said, I want to go to Miami. He went to Phoenix. Of course, people crap on Riley. But the fact of the matter is, it wasn't up to him. It was up to Bradley Beal. The same type of situation. Yes, everything points to Miami because Lillard says, "I want to go to Miami."
Yeah. Now, Bob, so that's why. Back. Have you sat down? Have you sat down and thought about why everybody's freaking out?
Mm-hmm.
Have you taken a step back and you're like, "Holy shit! If we acquired Damian Lillard."
I was talking to Tati about it today. I told her in the car. I was like, I told her, I said, right now the NBA world's upside down. They're going crazy over this.
The fact that they can't control it. They're trying their best.
Yeah.
The narratives, but they cannot control.
Look what Miami did with Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, and a bunch of undrafted free agents. Look, imagine what they're going to do with Bam Adebayo, Damian Lillard, who, again, if Damian Lillard, if and when this goes down, he automatically becomes the best player on the team.
But the best scorer, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, the superstar, legit. There's no question. You know, but pairing him with Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kevin Love.
He becomes your number one scorer, where Jimmy is still your best all around.
Oh, well, of course.
Jimmy's and Bam is still your key. But Damian just becomes – Damian could be just himself.
Bam is the glue. He keeps the offense flowing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to open it up for Lillard to get those open shots. And, you know, we were talking about size today. You know me, because my wife brought it up and talked about the size and everything else. And I said, look, you know, we didn't lose to Joker because of size. Joker's Joker. It doesn't matter how big and tall he is. He's just one guy. You can't really stop him. You could get you could get a 7'4" guy, and he's not going to stop Joker. But we did add size. Thomas Bryant. We brought back Kevin Love. Could be getting Nurkic. You know, there's still other pieces that could be added. But adding a player like Lillard, his offensive talent is gonna put you at a better spot against a team like the Nuggets. You know,
absolutely. You
know, it's not about we need a guy the same size as no, it wasn't about size. You know, it was about the talent of that roster, and Miami got so far up to a point. Cap's in agreement with you. He says Triple J looked good. Jovic played well. Draft compensation is all we can offer as well.
The fit was so natural, man. When you saw him running the floor, and I got to give it to you. When you told me about Jax, I told you, like, oh, he's not that athletic. And when you sit down and when you actually see him play, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
He is athletic, bro.
Dude.
He's super athletic.
You know.
And he's just a natural. He's
listen,
so mature.
It's not easy. You know what I mean? It's not easy being me, Alex. You know what I mean? Okay. You know, I mean, you might be better on the court, you know, dribbling a ball and shooting.
Don't go
when it comes to knowledge, you know, and watching the game and seeing talent,
you're gonna kill yourself, bro.
It's not easy being me. You know, I just wake up and piss excellence. You know what I mean? And I think the good Lord.
You just watched about 40 hours of YouTube and then
40 hours more than you bitch. 40 hours more. You're the guy who puts on 5 hours within 3 weeks of drafting to go, no, dude, I like this junior guy. It's like, what?
I was focused on my team. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I got to give it to you. When you saw him play, when you see him play and when you see his build, he is, like you said, the prototypical Miami Heat player, and he fits perfectly, bro.
Yes,
perfect.
You see it.
Perfect.
And Jovic, you see the potential. I am a 14-time
sure.
Champo.
Sure.
I am a 14-time world champion. Look who has the grammar issues now.
Yeah.
She's typing like she does when she talks when there's something in her mouth. But
whoa, man. I'm just gonna see a flying chancleta just coming. Oh shit!
but Jovic,
careful,
what you see with Jovic, you knew the size, you knew the length.
Oh yeah.
Now you see the development in his body in regards of muscle.
Exactly. And he's only 20 years old. He's only 20 years old, bro.
But that's what it is
man.
with him.
He's control.
With Jaime, you see what he can do right now. He is ready to play now, and of course continue to grow as a player in the NBA. Where Jovic, it's the potential.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, hey, dude,
that's what you see.
This guy
difference.
That's what I'm saying. 2 to 3 years, this guy could be a player. To me, that again, he's a player that I could see. I mean, obviously, I want to play for the Heat, but I could see in a Portland system with those guys. I could see him fitting with a Sharp and a Simons and a Scoot. Like that's an athletic.
Well, you know what could Portland? That Grant situation. Because if you acquire Jovic, Grant, they're going to either try to move Grant. I'm surprised that they haven't kind of released him from his contract. Maybe the money dried out and he has no other option. So they're going to, because if this is kind of when LeBron left and Chris Bosh got the max contract right away. It was a situation where Bosh signed for the max, and then they kind of gave Dwayne a 2-year deal. That's when that shit started going sour a little bit because they maxed Chris Bosh and they wanted to be the centerpiece. But that whole situation as a GM, before I would have given that contract extension to Grant, I'm calling Dame. I'm like, look, Dame, I understand what you're thinking. I'm trying to help you out. I need you to help me out. I'm about to commit to this player. Are you going to be here? Do you want to be here? So I understood the timing of it as a GM, why you would be upset, but I also understood.
But I count that on him. Again, like I agree with you. He should have called Dame and said, hey, look, I know. But he also told Dame, hey, look, we're going to move this pick. And then a day or two before, he called him and said, hey, we're not going to be able to move it. We're not moving it.
So the writing's on the wall, man.
I just don't. To me, I can understand where he's kind of like, oh, I can't just give up for it because your job's on the line, but that's really on you. You knew where the timeline was. You knew at the end of the season, you're like, hey, let me call some of these guys and say, hey, what player who is probably on the cusp of leaving their team or i.e. a Zion Williamson or i.e. whoever knows, Karl Anthony Towns, that I could go, hey, I'm going to give you the second overall pick or whatever pick they had there, the second overall pick. Right, no, the third. I'm sorry, third overall pick. Here's the third overall pick. Let me get this guy. Okay, Lillard. Now I'm going to go get Jeremy Grant. Now we got Lillard, Grant, everybody else, and Karl Anthony Towns or whomever. Now you're trying. Now you can, now you don't get the blame or the heat because you at least tried to build a legitimate contending roster in a very tough West. But you didn't. You drafted a Scoot Henderson who could be a very damn good player who I think he will be.
Yeah, he will.
And you brought in Jeremy Grant, but still, you think that roster is going to do anything with Damian Lillard? You think Lillard's looking at that and go, no, he sees the writing on the wall. He knows he ain't. Look, Lillard could win you a series, Game 7, first round, but he can't get you to the whole thing. It burns him out. It's what happened with Jimmy. It burnt him out in against the Lakers in the finals, burnt him out against the Celtics. He couldn't do anything against the Nuggets. It happens. You need more, and you didn't give him more.
Exactly.
That's on you. It's not on him.
That's not his game. Dame Lillard's not a 6'8" two-way player. Damian Lillard's a great offensive weapon. He's one of the best shooters. He is clutch. So that's what Dame needs to be surrounded by. A Bam Adebayo, a Jimmy Butler. That's how you build around Dame. You let Dame do Dame, and that's it. Because in crunch time, if you need a bucket, Dame could get you that bucket. And then you have, it's the perfect combination of big three, if you want to call it, about Dame and Jimmy and Bam, because it's balanced all around. You got youth, you got an older player, and then you got an in-between player in Damian Lillard. So,
and I don't see it as a big three.
Points, man.
When I look at that potential, yes, I'm not taking anything away from the guys. I don't see it as a big three. Okay, I can see a big 2. I see it as a potential at a very good balanced roster.
Oh,
With
absolutely.
a legitimate super. Nobody's going to question Damian Lillard.
Mhm.
You know, people question Jimmy Butler. He's in the playoffs. He's a superstar. Regular season, no one's going to question Damian Lillard as a star. You know, I see that, but I could see Miami putting up together a team where it's like, man, the starters, the bench.
Mhm.
You know, if we could keep one of these young guns, and I hope they could. Honestly, I would hope they keep both, but realistically, we might see one of them out. But if they could keep one of these guys, and again, Jaime is the one where
Jaime is the one that you keep if both one of them has to go. That everybody knows that
because
everybody
he's doing it right now.
Absolutely.
He's going to be the one where in the regular season and playoffs, he's going to make the most noise for you right now. And again, it's not taken away from his future because I see a lot of potential in him. But Jovic obviously has the higher ceiling in regards of, look what he can do passing. As a passer, as you know, I mean, I'm talking about as a distributor, as a shooter.
Bob, when you see them play, the situation of
what's up, Cordell, man? Thank you for tuning in, brother. I'm sorry, Alex. I would say, welcome Cordell, and he says this is about to get ugly. The truth is, the Blazers are a team that's up for sale, and everyone knows
that. I didn't know that.
The front office is temporary, and have no interest except boosting teams' max sale price. That is interesting, and because I believe their owner died a few years back. He's the owner of the Seahawks. I'm trying to remember his name right now.
Yeah,
Paul, no, is it Brown? Paul Allen.
Yeah,
and so that I could see them.
But you see, what? Imagine, it's a selling team. Obviously, an NBA franchise, no matter who it is, they're gonna sell for billions of dollars because the value. What Phoenix did alone. How much did this guy pay for? $4 billion.
Yeah,
he paid for the Phoenix Suns. So they're gonna sell for a high price. Now, as an owner, as an incoming owner, you can have a young team that is you can argue that this team is kind of like what Utah did last year. This Blazers team is going to be young, athletic. They have a decent core. People don't see that.
I mean, you trade Lillard away. You
very
trade Lillard.
Rarely do you trade Lillard away and you get a Scoot Henderson. Very rarely.
That's what I'm saying. You got Scoot there. So, you have Sharp. You got
Anthony Simons.
Potentially a Jamie Grant, right? Simons.
Nasir Little.
You got those guys who they may want to move that guys too, but you have that roster.
Mm-hmm.
And then the outside, I'm talking unbiasedly as a Heat fan, but I'm talking about if I'm looking at that roster, I'm going, hey man, that's a young, very good roster.
And you're gonna get the assets back. Whatever we trade you, whatever the Nets trade you, whatever Spurs trade you, you're gonna get first round picks that you can combine to acquire a superstar too. There's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah, and Cordell, man, first off, again, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you, brother. And if you haven't yet, man, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of great stuff up on here, man. We talk every sport on here. We talk everything on here. So first time seeing you on here, so very cool. But they're refusing to trade Dame if the packaging. Look, a lot's on the line for Portland, though. And you're talking about the front office. Portland, front office there or not, could come off looking very bad if obviously they refuse to trade him or they trade him somewhere he doesn't want to go. Because the fact of the matter is, players are watching. And first off, no player ever goes, I'm going to Portland. A Kevin Durant, a James Harden,
never.
A Kyrie, whomever you want to throw out there, Damian Lillard, somewhere else. No one's ever going to say, I'm going to Portland. But
dude, the last major free agent they got was Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, and that passed his prime. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is no superstar player, they're not going there anyway, but if you don't move him, or you don't move him to the team he wants to go after, doing everything. I don't care how much you paid him. No player's ever going to want to go to you. And Scoot Henderson, if he becomes a superstar, which he could, if he's one of the greats, and when you go to offer him that max deal, you go, man, we're gonna commit to you. We're gonna do you right. Well, did you do Butler? Did you do Lillard right? You didn't do him right. Look what he gave you all these years. Yeah, I know. I saw Chris Broussard saying $450 million. They gave Lillard all these years. What did Lillard give to you? And how many times could he have walked away to go chase a championship like all those other guys?
People don't realize
he stayed.
Lillard brought value to that franchise.
Yeah,
those are ticket sales. Those are jersey sales. So, but he gave you $450 million. Dame Lillard gave you 11 years, and you had a chance to build around him.
Exactly. He gave you the opportunity. He could have easily left and gone to any of those teams like every other major superstar usually has. Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Harden, all those guys, LeBron, all those guys ever said, "I'm leaving. I'm going to OKC." They lost. You know, it was Kevin Durant. He went to Golden State.
They had to trade away James Harden. They had to trade Westbrook.
Yeah. Westbrook ended up leaving, going to another team.
I saw the situation honestly being the way Westbrook's exit was with OKC. OKC and Westbrook realized that they wanted to go younger, and Westbrook wanted to continue to compete, and it was a very amicable separation.
Yeah. Well, that OKC comes off looking pretty damn good. OKC has come off looking pretty good, and look where they are. But but that's what I'm saying. He could have done that. He could have easily pulled a Kevin Durant. He could have even pulled a James Harden. He could have pulled any of those. Kyrie, who said, "Oh, I'm coming back to Boston," and left. I'm staying in Brooklyn and left.
He actually resigned with Dallas, man.
He actually resigned with Dallas. But what I'm saying is, he could have, but he didn't. He said, "I'm staying here." You didn't build around him. You guys failed him. You failed your fans. You didn't build a contender or winner there. And now you're gonna put it on him for wanting to get out of there when you should say, you know what, man? You know what? Well, let's try. Yeah, we're going to look for the best possible match, but let's not screw you over, and let's not make you look like a piece of crap to the media, which they are. Adrian Roj is coming off. Notice Shams hasn't said a lot about it. He said that Miami Heat's still the preferred destination. He's keeping him. Crispy Hines is another one who's keeping it pretty. He's just saying what the facts are.
Yeah.
Roj
and
is
Chris
saying so
the one
much.
I trust the most. Chris is the one I trust the most.
But Roj is the one saying, like, hey, he doesn't have to be traded to the Heat. They're looking at everybody. It's open for business for everybody. Blah, blah. That's Portland. Portland is talking through Roj, and he's saying, hey, this is what.
Doesn't talk to the players, bro. David said it. Ethan Skolnick said it from 5 Reasons Sports, and all the people. So, Woj is a front office insider. Shams talks to the players. Chris Hines talks to Damian Lillard. Talks to Damian Lillard. So those are things that I'm like, if you're getting it directly from the source and he's telling you it's Miami or nothing, like that's the people you got to trust.
Let's talk about possible roster construction if the trade goes down. Okay. Because everybody's talking. They talked about it on NBA radio today. I forgot the show. I think it was NBA Today, maybe. But saying like, these big three, the players, you can't really put a team together with all your money, but put into one guy. But we know who could possibly be moved. Okay, this is something that I put together, but you could say, hey, Bobby, I would put this guy here, blah, 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 blah. Okay,
go ahead.
And then we'll talk about possible free agents that could come to mind. Of course, again, Josh Christopher. We talked about him. That's a name.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, there's other guys, but let's look at the possible roster. Let's go to starters right now. Okay. That's if Caleb Martin's not moved.
Yeah.
All right. Alex, if we go into, first off, would you put Kevin Love or Caleb Martin at the 4? That's my first question for you.
If he's going to be a rotational player, I would put Kevin Love because I would want to bring. Well, I might leave Caleb because I got Jaime off the bench. So, I can make an argument for both, but I probably might go with Kevin if he plays a few minutes, or I'll put Bam at the 4 and Thomas Bryant starting.
Yeah, so Thomas Bryant is for me, and that's not if, that's if maybe Nurkic is not
Nurkic. Yeah.
Nurkic.
If Nurkic is traded, he starts your starting center, and Bam at the 4 for sure.
So, but okay, so Caleb Martin. But looking at this this starting 5, we start off. You start the season. How are you feeling about this starting 5 going into the season?
Oh, I'm feeling comfortable, man. I'm feeling
good.
Excited. Absolutely.
Feeling good. All right.
Absolutely, man.
So let's pull up the rotational players, and it's not because you obviously there could be some other players still on the bench, but these are your rotational guys. And again, preference, these are guys only on the roster. This is, again, we're talking about possible trades, but we're not talking about free agent. Miami could still go after a free agent point guard and whatever. But right now, here's your possible rotation. All right. Obviously, Jovic has been moved in this scenario.
Yeah.
Miami's still here.
Bouger for sure is going to be your backup point guard. Thomas Bryant, if he's not starting, will be that. Orlando Robinson might be your backup center. Kevin Love, if he doesn't start, for sure. Highsmith will get some playing time. I do believe Jaime is going to play more as a small forward than a shooting guard. I do believe we're. I'm not going to say it's a summer league piece, Even though I see, for example, in that kid Chase, you see the potential, but I do see it being a situation where this might be your backup shooting guard might be one of these minimum contracts that comes in. That's how I'm seeing it right now.
So let me go ahead and let's talk undrafted free agents very quick, and we'll go over free agents still on the market. We're possibly waiting for Miami to make the deal, so then they could probably jump on. Obviously, it's been reported Josh Christopher.
Sorry, Bob. If
go
we
ahead,
don't move Robinson, I see Robinson being the backup shooting guard without any.
If Robinson's if Robinson's still on the roster after a move is done, I'm happy about that. Yep. I'd be down with that. Okay, more more than likely he would have to be, right. I don't know, depending on how the contracts work. But
exactly.
If he's still here, that's a huge win for Miami coming off the bench.
For sure.
So players, undrafted free agents. These are your starters, but let's if you're looking at the bench and the rotation, because you might go, man, or even a starting four, you might go, man, if we could just have another, that starting shooting guard, or which I think Richardson would be fine with those guys. Richardson with Bam Adebayo, so look really damn good. You're gonna have a tough
defensively. Team. Yes, absolutely.
And but you look at let's say if you're a Heat fan, you're looking at the rotation lineup. You go Bougier, Highsmith. First off, free agency is still there. Okay, undrafted free agents are still there. And don't forget what Miami has done with undrafted free agents. First off, Justin Powell, 6'6", 205 pounds. Look, he was 43% from the three-point line. He averaged about 10.5 points per game out of 34 games. That's a guy to keep an eye on. Another guy, Alex brought it up earlier, was goodness gracious. Chase, yes.
Aldigi.
They pull him up here. Excuse me.
And
there he is. Guard out of Northwestern, 6'4". Yes. He was 37% from the field goal. He averaged about 14 points per game, 3 rebounds.
And one name to also keep in mind. Remember this guy, Alondes Williams. He's another guard. Alondes Williams. He's another.
Let me talk about a forward. One forward to keep an eye on. Another one would be Drew Peterson out of Southern Cal. Okay. Yes. About 14 points per game, 6'8", 185 pounds, 6 rebounds, shot 44% from the field goal, and 36% from the 3-point line. That's a guy to keep an eye on. There was another guy I saw here earlier.
It's crazy, man, that our backup rotation, even including Jamal Cain, our backup rotation could be all undrafted players. And Hyman.
Yes,
and Nicola, sorry.
Another guy is Trenton Meisner, 6'2", 170, a guard out of Western Illinois. He averaged about 19 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists.
He's like a Gabe Vincent type.
2 steals, yes. That's another guy that people, again, these are undrafted free agents, and people go, what the hell are we talking about undrafted free agents for?
Dude.
The fact of the matter is, undrafted free agent, look what Miami has done. That's their bread and butter. That's how they got to the final.
Yeah.
Okay, was undrafted free agents. That was the big storyline. So you look at these guys, and there's potential there.
I understand people talk about the money issue, but that is why you don't go so deep into re-signing Gabe Vincent. And remember, we talked about this before free agency start. I think I posted something on Twitter, and people call me crazy. Where I said is like, I see a scenario where we don't sign Gabe Vincent and Max Strus, where they walk via free agency. I'm like, if it reaches the number what it reaches, which, hey, and by the way, I love Tyler, but I also love Gabe. I love Max. I love everything they build. But it's a testimony to what we do here is that if you come here and you bust your ass, we're going to build up your value. We might not pay you, but you're going to get paid. You're going to earn that second NBA contract, that first big payday. So my hat's off to them. I wish them nothing but the best. I really do, because they'll forever be part of us. But that's the reason you weren't freaking out about players leaving. Like, if you look at Heat Twitter now, Bob, compared to Heat Twitter a week ago, it's a 180. Because a week ago, we weren't going to acquire Dame, and we're going to lose Max and Gabe. How are we going to build this team?
Riley sleeping, all this bull crap.
Oh, my God, bro. You know what I find comical? That I guarantee you, Pat Riley, Adam Simon, Spoelstra, Andy Ellisberg, they're just in an office reading these tweets, and they're like, wait until we see what we got for you, motherfucker. Oh, sorry. Massive.
But even if it's not a Dame, my thing is, like, haven't you seen enough from this front office, or this, not even the front office, but but the scouting department, the development department,
Yes.
to see that, hey, look, man, we might not get a Bradley Beal, who again, I didn't, he moved the needle, but he didn't put you over. I could see Damian Lillard's a guy I said that would put you over, but the roster construction, the development of these players by Miami, these undrafted free agents, is enough for me to say, hey, you know what? That's why I trust that front office and that development more than I do the Dolphins. Dolphins need to go after star players. They haven't shown what they could do with development players. The Miami Heat have shown what they've done with and I don't mean to say this disrespectful, with nobodies.
No,
they turn nobodies into somebodies. That's why Gabe Vincent got over $10 million a year. That's why Strus just signed a big deal. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Our backup shooting guard, a shooter, could actually be one of our best defensive players who off the bench in Chase Audich, an undrafted player from Northwestern that you just saw in Summer League. I'm not saying that it will be, but he could possibly be a rotational player even next year. I understand usually it takes 2 years. Miami does this 2-year thing with undrafted players where they become a key part of the rotation like the second or the third year, kind of like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. So that's why people see a Jamal Cain and an Orlando Robinson. They're like, oh, they're going to be rotational players. Hayward Highsmith, same thing, like a 2-year growth spurt. But you see the potential of some of these kids. And like, for example, that Chase Audich kid, he's a shooter, but he's a defensive menace. When he's out there, he looks like Victor Oladipo playing defense. So
and
you're
trust
like,
me,
holy
they
shit.
are watching these guys more than
Always.
anything because they know that, always, but more than
scouting.
anything, they know that, hey, look, if we get Dame, we're going to be kind of tight in the wallet. We need to use these guys. Exactly. So they're looking at these guys and they're saying, okay, hey, yeah, man, these, Jaime and Jovic, they look really good, but we don't know if we're going to have them after this trade. But hey, this guy over here, the guy you're talking about, he might be on our roster. We need to see how he's going to fit with this team. Let's talk about free agents very quick. And I know up on the hour, so we got 4 minutes left. But obviously, again, Josh Christopher, Sorek, other guys. Another guy name to look out for. One of your favorites you brought up a while back, who's still on the market, who I think could be a possible option. He's still a free agent. Of course, he's younger, and I don't know, but you don't know. Christian Wood. I've seen his name out there for Miami.
That's
a name where. Okay, so that's a name.
He might be our Eric Gordon. I believe. I don't know if we can use a trade exception because it will be a sign and trade, so it will hard cap us. I got to figure that out. But it's kind of like the situation where I saw in Phoenix where Eric Gordon took a minimum contract. And you're going to see a lot of these players do that, where they rebuild their value. And what better way to rebuild their value next to Bam, next to Jimmy, next to Dame?
Yeah.
Christian Wood is a perfect fit.
Yeah, so that's a name that let me ask you this very quick, and forgive me, and we'll talk more about it after the show. Dude, you sent me that picture earlier, and he looks so damn familiar. Who the hell did you meet at the airport?
Oh, man.
I was at the pool with the family, and I was like, "Whoa, that dude!"
This is
help me out.
You wanted the Heat to draft Emmanuel Quickly.
Ah, nice.
By the way,
he looked familiar. I was like, I told Tanya, I was like, it's not a Heat player, dude. Is he Dolphin? I'm like, he looks familiar.
If he ever hears this, he was the coolest guy because we were in baggage claim. He got home from vacation. He not from DR. He was coming from somewhere else. We were in the same baggage claim, and I looked to my left, and I'm like, holy shit, that's Quickly. But I didn't say nothing. There was a bunch of people. Our flights were delayed. There was a thunderstorm in Miami, so the bags couldn't be unloaded because of the thunderstorm. So we had to wait like almost an hour for our bags. And it's full of people. And he saw me looking at him. He looks back at me. And I'm like, I'm a person that I never like going up to people because I don't want to bother them. And I'm like, it's a family situation. If I ask him for a picture for my son was going crazy because in his 2K team, that's his shooting guard. So he's like, oh my God, that's Emmanuel Quickly. He's like, oh my God. But he doesn't say anything, right? Long story short, we get our bags and we're walking out of the airport. Guess who's right next to me? Emmanuel Quickly. As we're getting in our cars and we're exiting the airport, he sees my son looking at him like 2 or 3 times. And then my son starts smiling and kind of like blushing. And he's behind us. And I talk to him in Spanish and I'm like, do you want, I tell this to my son in Spanish. I'm like, do you want to get a picture with him? He's like, no. I'm like, do you want to say hi to him? He's like, no. So I guess Emmanuel saw my son looking at him, and he just goes straight up to him like, what's up, little man? How you doing? And I'm like, oh, man. And that right there, I introduced myself, and I told him like, oh, he's a big fan. He's like, I don't want to bother. And he's like, don't worry, bro. I was the same way when I was growing up. I don't want to bother nobody that I saw like that. And he himself asked my son, you want a picture? And he just had him come over. I took a picture of him.
Let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you, because Todd's one who asked me. I was like, that's a great point. Are you sure that was him? It was not some random guy. You were just like, dude,
yes, bro.
And he just went like,
of course.
Hey, just want to take a picture, bro? Okay.
Of course it was him. He was even telling me what he was doing, and I told him good luck. There's rumors of him being possibly traded. He's still a member of the Knicks. But yeah, absolutely. That's Emmanuel Quickly, man.
Okay. He looked familiar. No, like I was like, dude, he's not on the Heat. And I'm like, no. Yeah, go. He's not on the. Where do I know this guy from?
People confuse him. Like people call him Tyrese Maxey. People call him a bunch of things. But yes, that's Emmanuel Quickly. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. I just need to know. I was like, it bothered me.
And he was super cool, super humble,
awesome.
Bro. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
It was amazing.
Awesome
How players should be when they're not bombarded, and obviously very few people, unless you're a basketball fan, very few people. When you see someone tall, everybody automatically, oh, that's a basketball player. But very few people are gonna know when they're in a rush Sunday going back home, and it's so cool to run into somebody like that you see develop, you see them play, you see them train, and then you get to see them in person, and they're like that really humble and cool person that just to talk to, just to hang out. So it was cool. It was cool.
That's a great experience, dude. I had to ask you. I was like, before I forgot, I was like,
yeah.
So, Christian Wood is a guy that I'm bringing up. Another player I saw brought up, but I don't know. I know you might light your eyes up. Justice Winslow's still out there. They brought back Josh Richardson. Does Winslow?
They're saying that he might be part of the trade because Justin Winslow's on the contract, right?
Is he? No, he's a free agent here. He says
he's
available.
A free agent?
Yeah, unrestricted free agent, early bird.
Okay.
So let me just keep going here.
I mean, Bob, you would figure when Josh Richardson was traded, you kind of knew that he was a player that might return one day.
You know, he's one of my favorites, dude.
Bro. Hey, that was one of our first developmental two, or the Rook 1 and Rook 2.
Make sure. Again, there's so many.
Oh, and by the way, another
Dragic. Don't forget Dragic.
I was just gonna say him. He's another player that he's gonna get signed, gives you that experience, doesn't necessarily have to play 20, 25 minutes, but he's just he's an extension of your coaching staff.
Again, that's where you go, man, our backup point, man. Oh, and then you go, hey, look, oh crap, we signed Dragic back, and Dragic is that rotational player, or it's just
injuries.
It's a wait and see.
It's
a wait and see. Exactly. It's a wait and see. When I'm saying people, yes, it's going to cost a lot, at least for Miami, even though Miami people might say what we're giving up is not enough, but it's going to cost a lot. But again, Miami is the team that could deal with it. Other teams say, hey, we got our guys. Let's pray they make it to the final. The ESPN's going to love them. They're going to be the golden child of the sports world. Then they're going to find every excuse as to why they lost in the playoffs, i.e. the freaking Lakers, i.e. the not Nuggets, the Celtics, etc. Where Miami is a team that's built to figure out, oh man, we don't have these players. Where can we find them? Oh, let's go get this guy who nobody signed on undrafted free agent. Nobody knows, out of China somewhere or wherever league he's playing in. Bring him out of nowhere, and all of a sudden he's some player who's contributing in the playoffs, and then he's getting a $10 million deal from another team the year after. That's what Miami does. Miami's built to have this problem. And that's why, for me, Miami could do this. Miami could do this and get away with it. It's not just Miami is perfect for his timeline. What's up, Ankit? Good to see you, man.
Now, Bob,
Anthony Manzano in the house. Good to see you, brother.
Can you imagine a situation, which obviously I don't think it's going to happen, but can you imagine a situation where they don't trade Hero? You manage to keep Hero off for this trade? Can you imagine you just basically trade Lowry? It's going to cost you Jovic for sure.
Well,
if it comes, push comes to shove.
Yeah, I can't. I can't. I don't want to entertain it because it's for me, I'd say it's unrealistic.
No, it's unrealistic. I don't think there's a possibility at all.
The Blazers are in rebuild mode, but to me, again, the national media had no care about the Blazers until this trade was going down. But Blazer fans probably know it better than anybody. With or without Damian Lillard, the future, but it's definitely without Damian Lillard, the future is bright. You got Scoot Henderson.
Absolutely.
Those young guns, I think they got a bright future. Yes, you want to get more assets back so you continue to build. I think they could get there faster maybe than OKC got there faster. OKC still had. Go ahead.
I want to see if they try to include Simmons somehow in one of these trades because they got Scoot and Sharp. That could be a dynamic backcourt. I wonder if they try to include Simmons and get more draft picks, like more compensation.
Ben Simmons or Simons? I'm sorry.
No. Anthony Simons.
Simons. I got you.
Yeah,
okay,
Anthony Simons. Sorry. Yeah, Simons.
No, you're good. Manzano, Anthony, we were talking about that, man. Yeah, we would be. Would you be okay with giving up Tyler Hero in a 3-team trade? He goes to Brooklyn. We get first-round picks. Or we get well, that would probably go to Portland in that situation.
Which for Tyler, what's the perfect landing spot for Tyler if it's not Brooklyn? Like San Antonio? Or
I think the Spurs. I could see the Spurs. Yeah, I think the Spurs are the best spot for him, especially playing with Wembanyama,
I'm sure he's pushing for Brooklyn though.
Brooklyn is his spot.
Living in New York, his styles, and I love Tyler. I really do. I do see Tyler as a possibility of a player that comes back eventually, very far along the line. But he's kind of like that. It sucks that people don't recognize his game and that he's been involved for 4 years. Trade rumors nonstop. He comes back, he busts his ass, he improves. So I got to give it to him. He played his ass off whenever. Well,
but that's what it is, in that type of situation where Miami's not they groom players and short term, but they're not a team where it's like, oh, let's develop these guys long term and let's get them become a superstar 10 years, 8 years, 5 years from now. It's we're winning a championship. We're going for a championship. That's why they traded for Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo developed really damn well. Bam Adebayo was one of the, Tyler's still developing. He has the potential to develop into a great player. He's a good player. He's a decent player. Bam Adebayo is a good to great player. Bam Adebayo has developed faster and better. That's why he's not a part of those trade discussions. Where Tyler Hero is on the edge of that. I hate people to crap on him so much. He's not a guy to crap on. If we keep him, it's a great situation, But he's a player that would be included in these discussions because he's not untradeable. He's not a player. He's a player that you dangle. Hey, this is our best asset to give because we're not giving you Bam. We're not giving you Jimmy. So. Alex, when we drafted Tyler Hero, the comp I had for the guy was Steve Kerr with more athleticism.
Oh, no. Like, I saw Klay Thompson.
That's Anthony Manzano.
Yeah. Anthony. When I saw we drafted, I believe I called Bobby. I called you.
We were on the phone when he was drafted.
Right? We were
both Bam and Tyler Hero, we were on the phone at this time, yeah.
I was super excited with Bam. I didn't know much about Tyler in that situation. And we had
I talked about Bam. He was one of those guys that I had there. Tyler was the one where me and you both went, what? Like we're in who? Yeah. Bam was on the list. Bam was on the list when I was
the Tyler situation. Obviously, that year I wanted Bobo. I thought Bobo was going to be perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was super excited. And it's funny because we ended up drafting Bobo, but later we find out that it was a pre-negotiated trade, so we really didn't draft Bobo. So it was like, I remember talking about, I'm like, if we get, obviously we got Tyler here. Okay, cool. I see the potential. I see like the Klay Thompson comparison. If we get Bobo, we won this draft. And when they announced the pick at 44, I'm like, holy shit.
And Kit, first off, again, everyone tuning in, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, thank you all for tuning in. You're watching East 10th Street Boys on the FinSoft Sports Network. If you're new to the channel, you're just visiting, hey, like and subscribe. We appreciate you watching. Got great content throughout the week, every week. Tomorrow, it's an off day because of the 4th of July. I hope everybody has an amazing 4th. But NK says, I heard the deal is close, and the Blazers will get several first-round picks in a 3 to 4 team deal. Hero averaged 20 points per game this season and 15 points in Eastern Conference in 10 games in the Eastern Conference Final.
That's honestly, well, I mean, I realistically, that is the only way this deal is going to get done.
Appreciate
quick.
you. Do you guys believe all the BS rumors around Pat Riley saying that he doesn't give crap about draft pick unless they're in the lottery?
I do believe he.
I believe that with Pat Riley. Yes,
Pat Riley did not value first round picks for many years in the essence of we were always picking in the 20s So it's not a building block for him.
I think it's who's the guy? Who's the assistant general manager? Not assistant. Who is
Adam
it?
Simon.
Thank you. I think Simon's more of that guy with Spo.
Absolutely.
Maybe I think he's the more one. We need draft picks. Let's get that second round. Where
Yeah,
Pat is more about let's get guys to win right now.
Mhm.
You know,
and it's funny because Pat has become more balanced in that, but he's always given the credit. He's given the credit to the extension because these undrafted players and these late lottery picks, that's not all Pat Riley. People need to understand this. That's your scouting department. These undrafted players is your scouts that report to Adam Simon in the G League, and these are the extensions of your hierarchy. Pat Riley's going to get the credit. The Miami Heat are going to get the credit. Eric Spoelstra is going to get the credit because they developed them. But finding those diamonds in the rough, that's the extension of your scouting department because you have the eye for talent and eye for talent that fits your team. So it's an all-around thing. That's why it's an organizational thing. And stability is key. That's why a lot of these people, even Andy Ellisberg as the GM, these people have been with the Heat for 20 plus years. There's a reason that this works, you know? So I do trust that. I'm not going to give a time frame, Bob, but I do trust that. I do believe this deal might be done before free agency officially begins because it just puts a hold on what the Blazers can do. Miami doesn't mind.
When's the official date?
I believe it's July 6th that you can sign contracts. So I like I said, you can announce the minimum contracts because the league reimburses you. That's why the Heat announced Josh Richardson. Like they already announced that they signed him. So you can do that. But I think it's just a matter of formality.
Let me just say, Barry Jackson, just from the last tweet about 42 minutes ago, Lillard unwavering, resolute, and determination to get to Miami and only Miami. Could take time, but Miami remains in good position. And that, of course, there's a link on his Twitter with the notes, follow-up notes.
Okay.
Greg Salvander. Yes, he has those summer league highlights, so I'm gonna watch that.
Bob, take a look, man. Take a look.
I will.
You're gonna enjoy that.
How did the Marlins do tonight? Marlins
won.
Got swept by the. Did they win?
Won.
Good.
Yeah, they won.
Good.
We're still 12 games above 500, man.
Marlins, man. I'm so excited about the Marlins. They got swept by the Braves, but you know what?
Yeah.
That's okay. They got to do,
bro.
That's a part of it, but yeah. See, Shams, right from the Athletic. Damian Lillard only wants to play with the Miami Heat.
And Bob, you touch upon this.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Did you touch upon this before? And
what's up, Daniel Marino? Good to see you again.
What bothers me about the Heat is, like you said, in the national media. Now you have the national media coming up with teams that Damian Lillard should play for instead of Miami. And
yes,
it bothers me to the point that, okay, you don't have to say this, like you don't have to agree with us at all times. But if Damian Lillard would have said, I want to get traded to the Lakers and only the Lakers, like Anthony Davis said years ago, the media had no problem with Anthony Davis requesting a trade to the Lakers. Why? Because obviously ESPN wants the Lakers to be a winning basketball team. So my thing is keep your same energy. If you're going to talk shit about the Heat when we're down and that we're going to let our own free agents go and that our cap situation sucks and that they don't see us winning any games, that we're a bubble team, that we were a fluke team last year. Now, when we acquire Damian Lillard, don't start talking crap now about like, oh, no, they're going to be good enough or maybe they're too loaded or it's not fair. I'm like, nah, man.
Yeah,
pick one side, bro. Pick one side and stick to it, okay? You don't have to like us, but you don't have to hate us either for absolutely everything. But they do. They really genuinely do. At this point, you can't hide it anymore. Like,
no.
There's a reason why.
You see it.
All these reporters, but that's part of the reason. These reporters have no connections with the Miami front office.
No.
Miami front office has connection with local reporters like Skolnick, obviously other major Shams obviously talks to the players. So you get agents. Miami has great relationships with a lot of major agents. So that's the situation. Relationships are important, but you cannot get it intertwined where you criticize something, but then just because it's Miami, and Damian Lillard, now you're like, oh, what they're trying to do, they're trying to ruin this. No, man. Damian Lillard requested a trade and gave a preferred destination. And
Let me
yeah,
just
it's going to
say,
get messy.
yeah, let me just say, Anthony, your first one comment, or first of the one here that I see, and let me just put it up here. But I keep hearing rumors that
That's just going to backfire if he does
that. That's them talking through the media, putting that out there. So
that's just gaining leverage.
Team, they're trying to hope that some team comes out and says, "Hey, we're going to give you this great package." Again, they're not just considering the best package, but but they're not. They're not only have to try to. It's not about only trying to get the best package from whomever, which again, but they also have to worry about their reputation. And that comes to the point of if you screw over Damian Lillard, who says he wants to go to one team, who's been great for you for 11 plus whatever years, and you move him to a random team that he had no interest in going for your best picks, yeah, you're going to look better to your friends in the media. But when it comes to players around the league, i.e., players like KD or whomever, or players, let's use current young players, John Moran, or superstar players who are coming up through the ranks. Who's this? Anthony. Who's the guy from the Timberwolves just signed a 5-year contract? I'm trying to think of him. Some young player.
Anthony Edwards.
Those young guys who are Scoot Henderson, for instance, even him, guys who are growing. And one day you're going to be in this spot where you're like, hey man, they're a free agent. Maybe they pick up the phone, they want to talk to you, and they go, hey man, we want to make you our star player. We're going to treat you so good. We're going to do it. And they go, well, look what you did to Dame. Luka Doncic. Thank you, Anthony. For example, him. Those guys are watching, and they'll see how, unless they are not for the player, they're gonna say, man, look how they treated Dame after all the years he's given them. There's two. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. Agents as well. Anthony, Alex, get used to the media when it comes to covering the Miami. I would say covering the Miami, not just Miami Heat, but Miami everything. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat. They have something with Miami teams that the media.
It just bothers me. It just bothers me. It's not logical.
Yeah,
because
it's not.
We had LeBron and we had Wade and we had Bosh. They excessively covered us because of, obviously it was the big three. So it's just, I'm like, I understand your coverage, but you got to keep also basketball sanity. That's why I like the JJ Redicks of the world, because they talk about basketball logically. Like you actually watch the game, enjoy it, and you see it. It's not just talking out of your ass. And obviously, I understand what sells. Like you want teams that are in big markets to be successful because it sells your brand. But I believe the NBA is a global sport where you can talk about Milwaukee. You can talk about Indiana. Talk about basketball players. Talk about Sacramento. Like you can expand your coverage.
I would love to see. That's why like you just said, it's a perfect example. When Miami had the big three and LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, that's all they did. I mean, that ESPN, all they did was talk about Miami.
We had our own section. We had Heat Check. Remember, we had our own section at ESPN.com.
It's so, but it's bad at the same time. It's kind of like, dude, you are sports, unless you're a Miami Sports Network, for instance, or whatever you want to call it. You should cover globally the entire sport. You're not about one team. Oh, but like Stephen A was saying, and one of the best, obviously, of all respect. But the way he explained it is, they were talking about, why are you always talking about the Lakers? They're out of play. Well, that's what people want to hear, but they want to talk about the Lakers. Bullshit. No, I don't want to talk about the Lakers. The average fan in Utah, Miami, New York, Sacramento, Denver, etc., they want to talk about their teams. They don't want to hear about this other team all the damn time, especially when that team's not in the playoffs. There were 4 teams left in the playoffs, and they were talking about the Lakers at one point. Like, what are you doing? The finals, it was the Heat versus the Nuggets, and they were talking about the Boston Celtics. It's bad. It's like, dude, I would rather just sit down and listen to local coverage. Why listen to you? And then now you fired half your, 80% of your staff. So what's the point of watching you anyway?
Exactly.
Let me just say, as we continue here again, we're on the Damian Lillard watch. It may take forever. But we're still waiting. And it's talking about taking forever. Dalvin Cook for the Dolphins. We're waiting on him. Perfect scenario.
How's that happening, Bob? What's going on there?
Dude, I know like the Damian Lillard thing. It's kind of like it's more on the Trailblazers when they're going to make the deal. If they make the deal, they can screw over Damian. Of course, to me, It's a matter of when, not if, he signs Miami. I think he's waiting until maybe camp is over or something.
Okay.
I can't see him signing anywhere else at this point. I think Dalvin Cook will be a Dolphin. My perfect scenario would be Dalvin Cook and Damian Lillard both coming to Miami at the same day. Trade and sign. And it'd be like
special
breaking news episode. Yeah, I'd be all for it. Movies. Recently went to the movies with Tristan. Me and my son went to go see the new Flash movie. Tati and my Audrey went to go see the new Spider-Man movie. We both went at the same time, but we went our separate ways.
That's cool.
We saw it. Yeah, so Tati was out before me, but I just want to say, for those who maybe are DC fans out there, despite what you're seeing on social media and whatever from people who can't just sit down and enjoy a freaking film, the Flash movie was really freaking good. If you love, I've seen Super Mario. Great movie. Mario was awesome. Amazing. I enjoyed it. It was very nostalgic. Again, The Flash, there was nostalgia, action, funny, fun.
Peaches. My son keeps singing all the time.
But let me tell you, man, seeing Michael Keaton again was awesome. Despite the off the set issues of, I forgot his last name, but Miller, right? Is it Ezra Miller?
Ezra Miller. Yes.
He's good job. He as the Flash. Is your wife going to go see the Barbie movie, Alex and Bobby? No.
At all.
No, they're not that. No, neither of our wives are that girly.
No.
That sounded. No, it's not. That sounds like it sounds bad, but no.
Modern times, bro. Modern times.
Yeah, my wife rather sit down and watch a murder movie, or murder. She loves.
Psychologically, that's really crazy. They were saying that psychologically, that's an alarming trait to have.
Try living with her.
If killing shows and like crime shows relax you, that it says somehow that you're not stable emotionally enough to handle certain things. I'm like, holy shit, that makes sense,
dude. More sense than you would know.
It's like, whoa.
When I read that thing, and
you read it? Okay.
Yeah, I did, and I remember reading that, and I was like, I looked over at her as she was watching Dateline, and she was taking notes, which kind of bothered me. I was kind of
taking notes. Killing first.
Put husband body. In fridge.
Yeah. Daddy, don't Google anything because the prosecution will find you.
Yeah. Damn well if the Knicks.
We make light of those situations.
Oh, dude, no joke. If somebody actually signed with the Knicks, good enough. She hates that. She doesn't like talking about things like that because if anything ever went down, and we're joking about that, like I've joked before with people saying, "Hey, if anything ever happens, go look at my wife." Joking around, she's like, "Stop that!" She goes, "If something happens, they're gonna look at me." She's
automatically, you're the first.
But they're gonna go. It's gonna go like this. What's that guy's name? Keith Olbermann? Right? No, it's not Keith Olbermann.
What's his name? The sportscaster?
No,
you're talking about the comedian.
No, Chandler, Matthew Perry's stepfather. Who is it? I know you're there. Morrison. There you go. I know she's there. I thought she walked out, but Keith Morrison. That's Keith Morrison. He's like, with Tati, he'll be like, she used to watch Dateline, but she wasn't just listening to the story; she was learning. And then just she didn't react well enough. No. While she was in the interrogation room when they talked about her husband, she was just kind of like, she didn't cry enough. Dude, you learn things there. Like, how do you react?
If you die because like a frying pan fell from the top shelf or something like that, or like, he developed a massive ulcer out of nowhere, something in his food, he was being poisoned. It's like, whoa. Oh, she's
but no, but it's not because you watch those series like Dateline, which of course I watch them, which she watches them, but like it's true. The way you react, the way you whatever you did that day, whatever you searched, they bring you in for questioning, and man, he didn't cry enough, or he didn't cry at all, or what do you do if we catch the killer? I don't know. Well, you're supposed to say murder him, and if you do say murder him, they're like, oh, dude, does he like to murder? It's like
forgive him.
It's like win, lose, or draw. It's like holy crap. But I just want to say the Flash movie was awesome. Alex, with his relationship, Doncic, with his relationship apparently getting sour with Dallas Mavericks, specifically, would you rather wait for Luka to ask for a trade?
Whoa, my friend. No, not right now. But I do believe Luka is going to be a Heat eventually. When Dame Lillard's contract is off in 4 years, do not be surprised if you have
well, remember,
Luka, Giannis.
Dame and Butler are both off the books.
Mhm.
If that actually happens,
Yes,
Bam's
yeah.
the only one on the books, and that's when
Correct.
that becomes into play. But Luka's not available now, so I'm not worried about Luka. I'm worried about Dame. You know, yes, back to basketball. No, not yet. We're at the edge there. But I just want to say, again, if you haven't seen The Flash and you like comic book movies and you have fun, me and my son had a blast.
Recommend
there's
it?
some. Yes, I do. Yeah, there are some cuss words in there, but he never really paid attention to them. It was more me going, "Ooh," but it don't matter. But a lot of fun. We were like, "Oh gosh," you know, it's a little, you know, people, "Oh, the CG, dude." Alex, when you watch it, I'll explain about the CG. It's in the multiverse, guys. You know, it just makes more sense. Like, just stop. Just enjoy the damn movie.
People all of a sudden,
People just
everybody's a movie
miserable.
critic.
It's just they have to be miserable. Just enjoy the damn thing.
That's
like no one wants to hear your Yeah, go
Twitter
ahead.
fan, Twitter GMs, Twitter movie critics. Oh, I would have done this. I would have done that. What happened to, like you just said, sit back, get some popcorn, and enjoy a film. That's it. I didn't ask you to make the film. I asked you to watch the film. You can critique it, but you're not an expert. Just enjoy the film for a change, bro.
Exactly. I was just saying, the reason why I thought about it was because I see here James Gunn says who's obviously now in charge of DC. He made Guardians of the Galaxy and everything else. He's in charge of DC now. He wrote Superman Legacy, which will be the new Superman movie with the new Superman. He says, which I think Supergirl did a great job, and a lot of people are hating on her, but I think she did good. But anyway, it will not be a Superman origin story. We've seen enough of that, so he'll already be Superman at that point.
It's crazy. They made so many superhero movies back to back to back after going a few years.
What I like about James Gunn is what he said is there's too in Marvel. An example is that there's too many superheroes. Like if you look at Marvel, there's so many different things. Where DC, it's like stick to the main guys. Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, etc., etc., etc. Blue Beetle is a new one. Blue Beetle's going to be there. But like you don't need all these extra things. Stick to these main guys. Build around them. You know, make it fun. But anyway, Alex, Trish Stratus. Jeez, a little. Anyway.
Side note.
But we're at the hour, about an hour and a half. Any final thoughts, brother?
Man, I know we're tired, and I know I just came back, but I'm gonna tell you, I was very excited when I got your text where it says Damian Lillard requests trade, and he wants only Miami, in all caps, and I'm like, holy shit, man, it's really gonna happen. Like this literally is going to happen. Good things happen to teams that play basketball the right way. We were 2 minutes away from missing the playoffs last year. We could have tanked it. We could have not done the play. We could have gotten a higher draft pick. But if you play basketball the right way, with a little bit of luck and relationships, you're building a strong culture, which is kind of like every team will want to have. So I can't be more proud of being a Heat fan and loving the game of basketball and the opportunity that could come from this. So I just hope it gets closed out. I hope they don't drag this out. Even if it does drag out, Miami's in the driver's seat because the longer it takes, I know it's going to affect certain teams' free agency plans. But if Miami's a destination that he wants to go to, no matter the time, he will get there. People could try to recruit him. I'm saying that's the only thing that's dangerous when you can't close it out as soon as possible. Is you got teams that will try to recruit. There's going to be superstars that are going to try to recruit him because he has relationships. But if he's set on going to Miami and he's doubled down and he's going to triple down, there's no one that's going to change his mind. So it's in the best interest of the Blazers organization to make the move. Obviously, get the best package that you can get, which is going to take a 3 to 4 team deal, get it done, and move on.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And it's just wait and see. I think it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, that's because the Blazers screwed him over, and that's going to be a whole other story. Anthony Manzano, I really, the movie I'm most excited for is actually not the Superman Legacy movie. It's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I think and then Batman, Bold and Brave. We'll see what happens with Supergirl. I don't know if that's still in books. Maybe it is. I know they has a list of it. I'm not gonna spoil nothing. I'll wait for you guys to see the movie, Anthony, Alex. But Batman Bold and Brave, which is obviously like Superman, new Batman, different story. It's not this. It's not Robert Patterson. It's not Keaton. But I'm a Batman guy. Alex knows this. I grew up on Batman. Love Batman.
Mhm.
Anything Batman, I'm down with.
Same here.
Yeah, Batman's shit.
And Iron Man. I love Iron Man.
Yeah, those are the two guys right there.
Batman
Like
and Iron
Martha,
Man.
you get
See?
on
It's the
Iron
same
Man.
thing, bro.
Yeah,
What I
but
love
Batman.
about Batman is the
Who's your favorite
darkness.
Batman?
Oh man. I still
Okay, so
let's
let's
go with
so
Michael
Keaton-
Keaton, but Christian Bale to me
Yeah,
is
Keaton,
the second one.
Kilmer, Clooney,
Kilmer
Bale,
too.
Patterson, and of course Adam West back in the day.
Oh yeah, Adam. I do like the Ben Affleck older.
Ben Affleck. Oh,
I do like Ben Affleck.
you know he's appeared as more. He's appeared the most as Batman, which is kind of
Ben
crazy to
Affleck?
think. Yep, but he has
Wow.
not had his own movie. He hasn't had his own movie.
That's true. He's always been in the oh shit, that's true.
Yeah, he hasn't had his own movie. He's been in
didn't
this
think
one
about
was his
that.
last one. This was just kind of crazy. Manzano says, Alex, please don't say George Clooney. Let me just say, I don't blame George Clooney for that. I think that was
Yeah.
more of the movie itself. George Clooney is like a
Unfortunately,
perfect
yeah.
Bruce Wayne, you know.
Yeah. Was
And-
that the
and-
one with that Tommy Lee was the Joker?
No, Tommy Lee was Two-Face, and that was with
Two-Face,
Val
Two-Face,
Kilmer.
sorry.
This was the one with George Clooney was Mr. Freeze with Arnold Schwarzenegger
Okay, that's true.
and Poison Ivy. But I blame more the movie itself, not George Clooney. George Clooney is like
That's
a
when you
perfect Bruce
rush.
Wayne.
That's when you rush a superhero movie.
And Anthony, just wait for Flash. Watch the Flash, and then we'll talk after because you'll see.
But
I'll just tell you,
go.
there's 4 Batmans to show up in there that you see.
Holy shit! So
Because
does
remember, it's a
Christian Bale show up?
multiverse. It's
Does
multiverse.
Christian Bale show up? Bro?
I can't spoil that. No, I'll tell you. No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Oh,
He doesn't.
man.
They asked him. He said no. I read that up. They said
That's one thing, man. And Bob, now that you say,
you'll see where he was supposed to show up.
I'm intrigued.
If you watch the movie, you'll see it.
I'm intrigued to see who's going to be the next Bond. Have they formalized anything or not yet?
No, not that I know of. I've
Nothing
seen,
yet.
I've seen different names out there. Again, like, you know who I see? You know who I see? Who's his name? He was just playing Superman. Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Henry. I think
Cavill.
he would be a perfect James Bond in my opinion. There's another one. Who is it? Crap. There's a guy who's a little younger, I think, could play a great James Bond. That's interesting, you know. And to me, it's like, who's going to be the new Batman? Who can you put? And I know that, God, what's his name? God, I'm horrible with names. The one who does Clerks, Jay and Silent Bob, the one who plays Silent Bob, Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, who's a huge comic books fan, but he said supposedly, because people hate it, but he said supposedly this movie would have done great, and I think it's more in Ezra Miller the reason why it hasn't done as great as it should be, or as good as it should be, but that they were supposed to do a Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton as an older Batman and get a young guy. Remember Batman Beyond cartoon?
Of course, man.
But supposedly that was in the books, but it might fall off now because of the performance of the movie, which kind of sucks. But hopefully it doesn't. But they were kind of saying this was like a one and thing. This kind of sets everything in motion. That's how they go to a new universe, and that's why they got a new Batman. So this Batman is probably a younger version. We'll see what has. Bold and Brave is going to be an older Batman with an established family, and Damian is going to be Robin, not Jason Todd. Tim, I haven't seen any of that yet. For my thing, it's probably I've heard the guy who's going to play, or the name I keep seeing connected to Batman is the one from Supernatural. Who's that guy? You ever seen The Boys? You ever seen The Boys?
No.
You'll like The Boys. That's a. Have you ever heard of it? First of all,
no.
Okay, so Tati, The Boys is on what channel? Prime?
The Boys is an Amazon Prime show, yeah.
That's my producer in the back, executive producer.
Mm-hmm.
She's the boss. Jason Eccles, thank you, Anthony. Yes, he's the one supposedly who's been tagged for Batman. But first off, The Boys, Prime, right? Prime. It's about superheroes, Alex. Like, there's one guy, Homelander, he's like the Superman. and you got this other guy who's like the Flash, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And they work in this big tower, but they're globalized. First of all, it's not like, oh, they're very secret. No, everyone knows they're the heroes, but they worship them. So everything's media based marketing, this and this.
Okay.
So it can't, if something goes bad, they cover it up. Yeah, how superheroes would be in real life. But
Okay, I get you.
they're up. It's like crazy. Homelander is like a crazy son of a dude. It's hilarious, but it's like
it's
blood.
That's great.
You have to sit down one day. Just put
Okay.
episode 1. You have Prime. You have.
Yeah.
You do, go on there. You're by yourself. Everybody's asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Grab yourself a freaking drink. Put on one episode, and I guarantee you, by the end, you'll be like, "What the fuck?" It's that crazy. It's really good.
It's like superhero when the cameras go off.
It's so bad. Like, no, dude, it's like they're sadistic, and they're called the soups. I think that's what they're called in there, soups. You can, so there's like, chemical, it's how they were created, and now they're getting better than here. It's it's crazy. But Jason Eccles is in that too. He came up in last season. F and save the world. F to save the world. But anyway, market influencers who use their superpowers to fulfill their own disgusting sadistic needs. Yeah. The favorite to play James Bond is Henry Cavill. Richard Madden. That's the other guy. The one from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Another one that I think would be perfect.
Taron Egerton.
You ever seen those ones with him? Taron Egerton, the Serviceman or the Kingsman? The Kingsman.
Yeah,
those are great movies.
He did the Elton John movie too.
Yes, he's a good one. Richard Madden is a great. I think would be a great.
I know they were talking about Idris Elba, and the cool thing about when it said Lucifer, was it Lucifer? Where he's a secret agent. Luxor. Oh my God, what was the name? That he's an agent. He's an agent for the armed forces in Britain, and then the last part of the series, he's a detective. Sorry, the last part is someone gets out of a vehicle and tells them that they have the perfect job for
Luther.
Luther. There you go. Luther. Oh man, I love Luther. And when that came, I'm like, holy shit. Is he gonna be 007? But supposedly he's a little older. They want a younger guy because they want to sign him up for a few movies. But I think Idris. Is it Idris, Tati? You can correct me there. Idris Elba.
Idris Elba.
I think he will be the perfect James Bond.
So he would be a good M. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And we'll close it out. We're getting up there, but I just want to say this. One thing I found out, I saw a clip on YouTube today during my lunch break of The Rock with Sean Connery. You remember that movie?
Of course. Nicolas Cage.
Yes. It's a funny theory they had out there, and when I was watching, I kind of saw it. I saw the theory a while back, and then when I saw this scene, when he talks to the guy, the general, Sean Connery's character is talking to the general who took over Alcatraz, and he says, "Where are you
Ed
from?"
Harris,
He starts,
which is
Ed Harris. Oh, dude, it's an amazing movie. The music, everything. But when he tells him, where are you from? Where are you from, soldier? Blah blah blah. And he says, I worked for I served the Queen in the army, blah blah blah. And I was a secret agent. People have said that the theory is that no, that's a Sean Connery James Bond under a different name who got arrested in Alcatraz, who's hiding. And then you start connecting the dots, and it was like, holy crap, that could totally be Sean Connery's James Bond. So I gotta watch that movie again now and connect those dots. But watching that scene and listening to him talk and then watching little other scenes, I'm like, it makes a lot of sense, But anyway, that's it. We'll wrap it up. That's your Cuban Hialeah goodbye. We said we were going to wrap it up like 10, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah,
we're still talking. Anthony.
And watch when the show goes off the air, Damian Lillard is officially traded.
I know, right? We're gonna have to right back on. Anthony, Inkit, Cordell, everybody tuning in. Mm-hmm. Again, whether you're watching YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you all for tuning in. Watching East 10th Street Boys on the Finns Talk Sports Network. Smash that like and subscribe button. Join us every Monday night here for East 10th Street Boys, straight out of Hialeah. Of course, we got other great shows. Usually Tuesday nights, we got our basketball talk with Fast Break. Wednesday, we got fantasy football. Thursday, we have wrestling with No Holds Barred. Dolphins Tuesday nights as well. They're off tomorrow with Real Talk Fins Talk. Fins Bandwagon Thursdays as well. Fins Talk today. We got so much other stuff, great stuff, and we're continuing to grow. Like and subscribe. We appreciate you. Until then, we'll see you guys next week. Have a happy 4th of July. Later, Gators.
Take care.